Artificial intelligence is evolving beyond a supportive tool. We are seeing the rise of autonomous systems executing complex cognitive workflows from end to end. Popular media depicts workplace dystopias as sterile labyrinths where human drones are crushed by mundane tasks. The actual economic threat is total exclusion from the production process. Microsoft analyzed 200,000 anonymous interactions with its Copilot system to measure how often the AI completed user requests entirely on its own. The resulting AI applicability scores indicate that across dozens of high-skill roles, the technology is already capable of executing work without human intervention. This shifts the scope from individual job loss to a structural breakdown of the equations that have governed human production for centuries. To survive this shift, organizations must move away from the goal of replacing human tasks and begin architecting systems for human orchestration. To see why this shift is necessary, we have to examine the mathematical foundation of modern production. This is the Cobb-Douglas production function. It calculates total economic output, Y, by measuring total factor productivity against two main inputs, K, traditional capital like machines, and L, human labor. Historically, these have acted as distinctly separate variables that balance one another. AGI destroys this separation. Because it is a software asset that performs cognitive tasks, it simultaneously functions as capital and as a substitute for human labor. When a single technology operates as both capital and labor at near zero marginal cost, the historical equilibrium of human economics ceases to function. Economists are already expanding this framework to account for this disruption, introducing Model 3. This updated model splits traditional variables. It accounts for AGI as an owned capital asset, KAGI, and as a cognitive worker, LAGI, isolating human labor as LH. The math is clear. As firms scale AGI investments, demand for human workers drops. Since AGI can execute tasks at near zero marginal cost, the marginal productivity of human labor declines. In this model, as human labor is substituted by AGI, wages trend toward zero. This graph maps the decline in human economic power, calculating the fraction of total labor income received by humans. Initially, AGI acts as a complement, keeping power high. But as AGI becomes a substitute, human economic agency decays exponentially. Unchecked, this trajectory concentrates all economic surplus and power in the hands of those who own the AGI capital. Faced with these models, the standard corporate reaction is to cut costs through immediate headcount reduction. This is the replacement fallacy. Attempting to improve efficiency by grafting autonomous agents onto rigid legacy structures often destroys organizational yield. We can see why through the Jevons paradox. In the 19th century, making coal engines more efficient didn't reduce coal use. It caused total consumption to explode because it made steam power viable in new applications. In modern R&D, dropping the marginal cost of execution to zero triggers a similar explosion in generated hypotheses, datasets, and analyses. This chart models the paradox. As the marginal cost of experimentation falls, the volume of generated hypotheses rapidly outpaces the organization's capacity to handle them. Generating evidence faster than humans can verify it pushes them into the research debt risk zone. Research debt is the accumulation of misaligned autonomous outputs. The AI produces technically valid data that drifts away from strategic intent, creating a state of organizational paralysis. The operational bottleneck is no longer execution. It is human interpretation and strategic framing. Surviving the Jevons paradox acquires a socio-technical architecture that strictly separates rapid AI execution from human strategic governance. The Harmony model bridges machine-speed agents and human strategy via 4 pillars. ResOps industrializes execution into automated pipelines. The control tower uses real-time telemetry to detect drift. The ethics fabric bounds agent autonomy. Finally, the talent studio cultivates human orchestration capabilities. Harmony is a minimum viable architecture. Removing any single pillar leads to the rapid accumulation of research debt. This reveals a paradox. Widespread automation increases the demand for high-quality human judgment. This diagram tracks the human worker's required identity shift. Operating Harmony means abandoning traditional task execution. Researcher 1.0 is the expert practitioner, competing on technical skill and manual experimentation. In an agentic system, this role loses utility. The evolution is the sciencepreneur, an entrepreneurial orchestrator framing complex research questions and governing AI agents to prevent research debt. The future human worker competes on strategic outcomes and contextual framing, not on execution skills. Traditional corporate metrics like headcount reduction or raw output volume fail to capture value in this new paradigm. The new metric for the post-labor economy is orchestration leverage. It is calculated by dividing impactful innovation output by human cognitive bandwidth consumed. Organizations achieve high leverage using the harmony architecture to automate mechanical work, minimizing bandwidth consumed while maximizing human strategic synthesis. These economic models suggest that without proactive intervention, the drop in human marginal productivity will make current wage-based employment models unsustainable. This shift is avoided only if organizations proactively elevate human workers out of the execution loop and into the orchestration layer.